How's it going? Just getting set up there now.
Good. Lovely you're here. It's always nice seeing folks. And
We're live there, Sue, just so you know.
brilliant. Okay. That means that we can kick off with a big hello to everybody. Welcome to the 160th Ovale today. If anybody is here for the first time, then you won't know that the evening is in 3 parts. Now you will, because I'm explaining it. It starts with the 5-word challenge. And after that, we follow with some announcements, and then we introduce the guest poets for tonight. We have 2. We have Tom and Bebe with us. And after that is the open mic. We can, during the event, if you want to chat with each other, you're welcome to use the chat box here in the Zoom for general comments, and you can also personal message each other there. Okay. For best audio for everyone, it's great to keep in mind that any background noises do come through and disturb what we hear. So if that happens, look at your mute button and see if you need to reset yourself. And with that, if I haven't forgotten anything, we can move on into the first part of the evening, which is the 5-word challenge. For those who don't know, the 5-word challenge is where we gather 5 words from the audience in Zoom by way of typing them into the chat. Then poetry will be written in the following 15 minutes using those 5 words. And after that, whoever wants to gets a chance to present their piece. So if you want, you can start putting a word in that you suggest, and the first acceptable 5 words will be chosen for the challenge. After that, we will mute everyone for 15 minutes, and we'll kick off with the writing, and I have to keep an eye on the time. When we come back, that's when you can put your name down to present your piece in connection with the tag 5 words. And then at the end of that, we'll come to a winner. And I'll explain that when we get to it. Oh no, it's important that you know now, because when we do come to reading it, you need to all kind of remember who's been on so that you can choose the winner. So take note who you like best, and then at the end you type the word winner plus their name into the chat box to determine who is the winner. And Paul is going to count it all up, including our Facebook viewers, and then you can win a book, 2 books actually, and also a free drink of your choice from your own fridge. Normally that would be obviously a free drink on the house, but that's a free drink on the houses this time. Okay, without further ado, what are the 5? The winner will win a copy of the 5 words anthology as well as Tom Moore's chapbook, Brother Adam. So that's fantastic. Okay. So what 5 words have we got? There's already 5 words in here. So we have touch, calm, ludicrous, ship. Oh, and the next one, what's that? Oh, I can't even pronounce that. Cedric.
Paralysis.
Paralysis. Paralysis. What is that?
Paralysis.
Pyrolysis. Does that have to do with fire?
Yes,
Can you explain?
it's a physical, not a chemical, but it's a physical phenomenon where heat is involved to change a compound into a different compound without igniting it.
So, okay.
So basically, you heat it up. Through the heat, it changes. Usually, the reaction will be a sublimation reaction, but you do not ignite it.
Okay.
I think that's the best on the top of my head definition that I can give.
Well done for explaining that. Okay, right. So let's kick it off. Everyone, good luck. The time starts now. So this is your 2-minute warning. Quietly, surely. That's it. Pens down. The 15 minutes are over. And we can begin to return to the session that is Ovale. Number 660. What a number. Wow. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. So the next step now is to write your name together with 5 words into the chat box if you want to present your piece. And when everyone has presented, we will count out who the winner is. So your name together with 5 words if you wish to present your piece. Okay, nobody's finished yet, I guess. It's easier to extend the writing phase now that we're not in a public place where we can all see it. Okay, Matt Mooney is ready. Jeff says he could do his. Bebe is ready for us. Ada is ready. Okay, while everyone else puts their names in, let's kick it off. Jeff, do you want to do yours or will we start with Matt?
I'll do mine. It's very short.
Okay, go ahead.
She calmed me with a light and ludicrous touch upon a ship, which I thought was just too much. She said her name was pyrolysis such and such, before her stroke became a painful clutch. And that's as far as that got.
Okay. Nice one, well done. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Matt, do you want to present yours? You're still on mute.
Right, I'm ready now. Okay. You build me up without knowing, but like pyrolysis, You never fill me with your fire. And the calm I feel is an empty calm of wanting and never having you. Your touch is as far from me as my touch of you is far from ever being realized. You have me sailing on the sea of your adventures, in the ship that never finds a port. And I feel so ludicrous, not knowing my destination, while you have pirated my provisions of endless longings on my lover's voyage.
Beautiful, Matt. I enjoyed that. Lovely. Okay, what's the next name now? Geez, this thing is scrolling down. There we go. Bebe is next.
Hi everyone. A really interesting combination of words. So this is what I've got. The ship is anchored well beyond the sandbank. The seagulls, confused by this ludicrous calm, touch the sky, touch the sea foam, touch the sky again, stretching and screeching and pulling the waves apart, as if searching for the origins of a Greek word, as if the word is pyrolysis, as if the waves the fire, as if the skies the separation. Thank you.
I liked how you rounded it up at the end. Those finishing lines were great. Lovely. Okay, the next name on the list here is Ada. Go ahead,
Thanks.
Ada.
It's a short one. Perpendicular pronoun. I love pyrolysis and touch. I'm ludicrous at times, not much. I am a boat, I am a ship, I am a pip in pipper pip, and sometimes when I am just calm, well, that is from a different realm. That's it.
Wonderful. Okay. The next on the list here is Colm.
Thanks, Sue. Pyrolysis is the least of our worries in our air-rich, ludicrously moderate Irish summer. Getting the Barbie going can be a touch difficult. Striking matches by the three, shading charcoals from the uncalm breeze. Someone suggests shipping everything indoors, have the party in the kitchen, if only it were legal.
Thanks, Colm. Thanks very much. Okay, Massimo's next in the list.
Hey, thanks. When you said time was up, I had only used 2 words, so I had to round them up toward the end. But so this is the poem. Whatever's looking out from these eyes is invisible, yet it makes all visible. That's one heck of a riddle. This paradox is the puzzle that I piece together slowly, because all facts are relative except for that I am only. But could I include the world and how I see myself wholly? Though truth be told, I would rather know the world than have it know me. If I touch my own finger, the example becomes a revealer. On which side lies the felt one, and which side lies the feeler? Who is the one inside me, the receiver and the dealer of all sensations which set the bar for what is real and what is realer? Making peace with this duality was where my focus point was nailed, but instead I chose the unevenness of being human, so that ship has sailed. I guess the point of this poem is that life is ludicrous, but that doesn't mean I can't stay calm. Paralysis is not necessary to settle into my proper element without setting myself on fire. All right, thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh, you just have the gift, don't you? Absolutely brilliant. Okay, next is Niamh.
Okay, I have a bit of a bad internet connection, so I'm sorry if it drops out.
We
To
can
take,
hear you.
okay. To take part in this challenge feels alien and ludicrous. I mime a sea shanty in an attempt to stay calm. But in absence of oxygen, I succumb to pyrolysis. Words decompose at the touch of my sweaty palm. I grapple at rhyme, throw grammar to the wind, overuse marine imagery. Can you moor me, I please? But out of beyond an octet fit for the bin, the old man on the sea has nothing on me.
Wow, I love hearing all that poetry. Beautiful. So the next person now is Ange, who has joined us from Wales, I think. If I caught that right.
Hello. Yeah, mine's a short one. My ship wants to sail the ocean's blue, so I imagine and I dream. A pretense of a restful, calming voyage, like a pyrolyzed ballad, ludicrously played on anchor strings. I am washed ashore, abandoned across your mermaid tattoo.
Thank you very much. Lovely. So next we have Mags.
Right. Combination of memories, two memories. Keep calm, touch sweating brow, feel innards clench and two fixed gear. Down spinal gullies, feel the drips of gripping fear. Fan aloft, a grave mechanic. He peers at the undercarriage. Broken axle and fuel injector banjaxed. Getting parts in Brexit is ludicrous. It could take you weeks to gain any sort of exit. Try a border crossing over Jordan, but it's heavily manned. Your booty's in the boot, precious hidden cargo of youth, shivering, cowering, wide-eyed children. Pyrolysis, fire split the dome of Mosul, and Razaza burns with phosphorus. I can help you make a border crossing into Jordan. A merchant ship will leave a man, but you must choose and leave some children. Maybe Médecins Sans Frontières will take them. Who knows what will become of them, but you must save some. That's it.
Wow. That was from the other worlds around us. Mm-hmm. Okay, next one is Catherine.
Hi everyone. I called this Lost Ship. I am decomposed by your complex pyrolysis, transformed to a simple shell, rescued from the fiery sea, a lighthouse in the afterstorm to calm my lost ship. Ludicrous desire makes me sew in all your buttons, pick up all your underwear. You are, after all, my burning touchstone.
Well done. Thank you very much, Catherine. So after that, now we have Cedric. And that's all on the list I see.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Cool. It doesn't have a title. How ludicrous is it, dear, that it took a mere touch of your hand on my shoulder to draw a shudder off my back, shine into my mind, holy, you and my calm mind. No, you have not ignited my heart. You have brought the heat that changed the composition of my blood without fail. A slow, steady, and fire spiralizes that turned my seas into lava, onto which no other ship than ours can sail.
That was fantastic, Cedric. The sound dragged out a little bit in between on my side here. I don't know if that was the case for everyone, but I think we still heard all the words. It was actually a very beautiful piece. So that's all that are on the list. Am I right there? Did I forget anyone? Okay, that's cool. Right, so what we do now is we vote for who we all feel is the winner. And how you do that is by typing in the word winner, followed by the name of the person you want to nominate. And at the end of that procedure, Paul will count them all up, including the Facebook people, and then we'll determine who the winner is. So let's go. All the counting busily, I see. There's a drum roll going on. Well, there's in the chat now. The winner is Colm Scully. Nice one. Colm, you know what that means. That means you have to read it again.
Thanks. So here goes. Pyrolysis is the least of our worries in our air-rich, ludicrously moderate Irish summer. Getting the Barbie going can be a touch difficult. Striking matches by the three, shading charcoals from the uncalm breeze. Someone suggests shipping everything indoors, of the party in the kitchen, if only it were legal. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on Tom's chapbook anyhow. That's great.
Well done, Colm. Nice one, fantastic. That was a beautiful round of poetry. Everyone give each other and ourselves a big round of applause. It's always lovely hearing what poetry comes out when we are being spontaneous like this. So nice one. Okay, so for me, the next step now is to come to the announcements for a while. So Paul is going to post them as well in the chat so we can see them. So the first one here is that the 9th 5 Words International Poetry Competition continues. This year's judge is Maurice Reardon. For submission details, visit www.ovale.ie. And the 5 words for this coming week, which you get a sneak preview on because you're here. So for the week 13th to 20th of July, 21, are pine, elude, wheel, depend, and jazz. So that's pine, elude, wheel, depend, and jazz. And Paul has put the information into the chat as well to see. The 9th Ovale International Poetry Film Competition window also continues, in this case until the 31st of August. For submission details, visit www.ovale.ie. I feel like a newsreader. Ovale aims to maintain a safe space for writers and the general public. While we discourage self-censorship, we expect participants to be sensitive and to refrain from, to be sensitive to and to refrain from any offensive or discriminatory language, including that relating to race, gender, religion, cultural background, etc., in line with the Arts Council's equality, human rights, and diversity policy, or from any phrasing that may be hurtful towards marginalized or minority groups. The private chat mode is available for all participants to use during the event, so we ask that you please be respectful when communicating via these channels and to report any offense or online abuse to Ovale either through the private chat or to info@ovale.ie. That was the disclaimer. So the open mic session that we are doing later on will also be available to revisit as an MP3 podcast on Vimeo. That is vimeo.com/ovale. Our guest poets on the 9th of August, that is next month's Ovale, are alumni poets from the Cork Coventry Twin Cities Poetry Exchanges since 2008. They will be reading from a new anthology published by Ovale called Twin Skies. There will also be a second launch of this anthology later in August, hosted by our partners in Coventry and Rafe Boylan from Here Comes Everyone and Fire and Dust. Thank you to everyone who has kindly offered donations for Ovale to keep the whole thing going. PayPal donations can be made via the link above the live poetry stage on our website or via our contact page, that is ovale.ie/blog/contact us. So that's where you can get to the donations as well. Right, so now we come to the big stage for our guest poets. I'm going to introduce both of them now, and then, do we know who wants to start? Is that a given, Paul?
I don't mind, I'm happy to start.
Okay, lovely. So what I'll do is I'll introduce the two of them in that running order, and then we'll go ahead with the readings. Bebe Ashley lives in Belfast. She is an AHRC-funded PhD candidate at the Seamus Heaney Centre for Poetry, where she is working on a collection of poetry that charts her progress towards qualifying as a British Sign Language interpreter. When procrastinating from her PhD, Bebe takes British Sign Language and Braille classes and writes pop culture articles for United by Pop, specializing in Harry Styles. Her work can be found in Prototypes Intertitles, Modern Poetry in Translation, Poetry Birmingham, Literary Journal, Poetry Ireland Review, Banshee, Poetry Jukebox, and The Tangerine. Her debut poetry collection, Gold Light Shining, was published by Banshee Press in October 2020. Congratulations. Bebe has just been shortlisted for the Untitled Prize for Creative Experiment. So that's Bebe. Welcome. Before you go on with your reading, I would like to also introduce Tom, so that we have all that out of the way when we can come to the poetry. So Tom Moore is from Cork and is an academic and scientist at UCC, where he directs the Bachelor of Science Genetics degree program. His research interests include the genetics of autism and the biology of maternal-fetal interactions. His poetry has appeared in the Irish Examiner, The Moth, Southward, and the Well Review. He won first prize in the Moth International Poetry Prize in 2012. Tom's debut poetry pamphlet, Brother Adam, was published by Well Review Editions in 2020. So give a big welcome to our two guest poets, and then we can kick it off with Bebe.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I'm very excited to be here, and it's lovely to meet you all. I'm currently in the Ards Peninsula, so I'm on Wi-Fi, I'm hotspotting data as well, so hopefully it all goes very smoothly. So yes, this is my book, Gold Light Shining, published by Banshee last year, and primarily it's inspired by the life and work of Harry Styles, of former One Direction boy band fame. But you don't need to know any of that to enjoy the book. I think it speaks a lot to nostalgia, and we all have that love of music, and can really like lean into it from there. So I thought I'd read from some of these poems today. It's actually the first time I've kind of read from them, not kind of post-pandemic, but well into the pandemic, which I think is a really interesting experience, because so much of this book to me is about joy and all those experiences we can have with like our friends and at concerts and things like that. So it's been really fun kind of revisiting them and thinking about how much isolation we've been in over the last year or so. So I hope that there is some sort of gold light that is shining on us tonight, and that the joy seeps through the screen for everyone. So I like to start usually with the epigraph. I think it's super important. It kind of sets the tone for the collection. So I'll start there, and then there's a couple of different sections in the book. There's fandom, fangirl, fanfic, and fan mail. So I'll read across some of those as well. But yeah, I'll start with the epigraph. Everyone in that room is on the same page, and everyone knows what I stand for. I'm not saying I understand how it feels. I'm just trying to say, I see you. Harry Styles. Harry. I'm not saying I understand how it feels. I'm just trying to say, I see you. So these poems are from Fandom. Kiwi, kiwi, kiwi. The boy with the Gucci guitar strings is playing glam rock to a room of strangers. His photographer captures a group of girls in knockoff floral suits and pink sequin Chelsea boots. Heart thumping, heavy jumping, his final song shakes the sweat slick stage on the concrete floor. The guitarist who used to work in the pizza shop looks to the bassist, the keys, the drummer to know if this is normal. It is not normal. People are having the time of their lives. Never going back now. Nobody knew I would spend the next year writing about flares with flora and fauna print. I think most about the yellow silk trousers, their shelves of potted plants climbing the inseam. Nearly always a continent away, I wait in the wrong time zone for lights up, for pixels of dry ice and smoke to clear in the poor connection of the periscope. It wasn't until the embellishments of Basel that I started preparing for next year's silhouette. With a travel scholarship with beauty papers, I elaborate on a Peter Pan collar and pearls. So I like to open with those poems, mostly because when I started writing this book, I didn't know who Harry Styles was. I actually had missed his boy band days. I didn't know One Direction. And over the process of the book, and as I was kind of arriving in Belfast and continuing my degree and things like that, he just kept appearing everywhere, and there were all these textures that I was really interested in, things like his Gucci suits in the concert. Suddenly I wanted to write about those, and the color schemes became very important. And I was lucky enough to receive travel scholarships to go to the Met Gala to look at an exhibition and things like that. And suddenly I just kept seeing Harry everywhere, and it kind of became a bit of a joke that whatever poem I could write, I could throw in a Harry Styles reference and just keep going with it. So that's what I did. And this next one is titled Sweet Creature. And there is an album, a song on his debut album, also titled Sweet Creature. But originally, Sweet Creature also appears in Act 3, Scene 3 of Othello. So I thought it'd be super fun to write a poem only using the words that appeared in Act 3, Scene 3. And luckily, I think it's like a 19-page scene, so there's quite a lot of vocabulary to choose from. But I kind of just started playing all these linguistics games with it to see where I could get to. And this one is one of my favorites too, because I workshopped it with Kieran Carson and he sang this. So whenever I read this poem, I always think of Kieran, and it's great fun. Sweet Creature. It is impossible to watch you kiss a strawberry from a polite distance. Nobody seems to dance well in Venice but you, and you are not even well. The marble here swallows the wolves and their whores obedient and abused. Our black night is humbled by the chaos that is salt and ice intermingled. Take heaven, I'll steal the soft parts of hell for you, drowsy on syrups of the world. Go, leave me in the garden of the castle. I am almost happily on my knees. So one of the other experiences that I never expected to happen, I was also lucky enough to receive a travel scholarship on a cultural exchange program to the University of Petra in Jordan, which was my first experience in the Middle East, and just it was such a generous trip. And I was wearing a Harry Styles t-shirt, as I often do when we were on the tour of the campus, and one of our cultural partners pointed it out, and I'd never expected there to be a Harry Styles connection with Jordan, so it was just the most joyful moment. And this poem was written after we visited a night market there, and it's called Cinnamon, Honey, Butter. Popcorn spits and oil sputters from the open pan onto the stairwell and into the hands of a boy who, eyebrow high and jaw slack, laughs and throws it, catching it tightly between his teeth. Not seasoned with the cinnamon, honey, butter, but salted, it melts by the warmth of his tongue. Ahead, the beekeepers are making a commotion. Glass shards have fallen between the cobblestones. A grandmother curses her husband's unreliable hands. Locals begin tallying pathways in the sky. The boy turns and translates for the tourists. The stars are out and so are the bees. Run. It's also kind of fun just to flick through the pages and remember that I wrote all these. It's a nice little surprise when you get to the one you want to. So kind of continuing with a sense of place now and where we can embrace music in various different places. This poem was a commission for the National Trust for the site up in Minneburn. We have 50 years anniversary. I say last year, but it must have been 2019 now. And that was good fun. So I like to think about kind of place as well and how we can inhibit all of these different feelings and sounds. Give pop music, give peace a chance. A grandmother stands in the Terrace Hill garden as the foliage shifts and trembles in the wind. Her grandchildren explore as fungi rise and retreat along the beech tree bark on the woodland floor. Her dog vaults over a stroll of bluebells, and the grandmother is happy in the sunken garden, watching each contour, sketching the valley, searching her sprawling city for home. The young ranger runs to collect the grass cuttings and the fallen plums, points and shouts at the small copper butterfly landing on the short blade scythe. Look, a gorgeous thing. The grandmother, knowing this place is a gorgeous thing, remembers perpetual rain clouds, pop music, potential, marmalade, deep joy, a telegram from John and Yoko, the thrill of running coloured chalk through the ends of her hair. She remembers sticking her thumb pad against the pinback of a badge that served as her first concert ticket. She traces the loop and swirl of her fingertip, finds ink smudges from felt tip pens and placards for peace. There are signs of the seasons turning. Nothing small or insignificant is rooted here. And just a couple more poems now from the final section, titled Fan Mail. These poems were created after I subscribed to Alison Gross's kind of newsletter about fandom and about kind of think pieces about bands that break up and then their solo work and kind of all the work that goes around that creatively. There's people that write poetry, there's people that you know, create their own like merch, and they sell thousands and thousands of like t-shirts and make a lot of money from it, but there's a real sense of community. And it was the first time that I really understood kind of critically how to approach these things. So all of these poems that I'll close from this one with are created for Ali and using Ali's newsletters. Look, this is how it really feels. Excuse me, sorry, hi. We took a photograph, no distance between the two of us, a tangled moment I could not stop from rupturing out of body, magnified through the window of a small cafe in North London. I remember fragments, the shallow questions that people ask a collective popular object. Within 5 minutes, I knew I loved the stranger in my head. Like the washing machine on spin cycle, I am blonde and drunk dancing in the dark to nice boys with acoustic guitars. I intended to be on my own, but it's fun to put on a good show of awkward hip thrusts and hurt feet. There is something that reminds me of the best photo from a cheap camera. The hue of sweetness and ease extends to the endearing flat at the edge of town, to the beautiful, sexy pirate prince who spins, soft-edged and boyish in a white t-shirt. Ghost. He dances to layered vocals, navigates the cool guy criticism in private conversations and parlor games. He translates adjectives into chord progressions, and to feel good, he describes the sunflowers in the kitchen, signs of swagger and joy. He is afraid of the uproar, but is lucky enough to be beautiful. In a time when joy feels like an endangered resource, things are very simple. Protect each other. Profile. In the end, it is impossible to forget the beauty of abandoned pop stars. There is a sense they withstood the first few punches in the media landscape and stitched together the things they love with trademark enthusiasm. Do not fear their dulcimers and sparkly oven stickers, their mushroom lunches, their behind-the-scene meditations. Let them discover drunken karaoke. Let them defend the quiet hour of time they can ride around Malibu in a Tesla. Harry, you found something peculiar being anonymous in Japan. Even with the katakana of your name embroidered onto soft hoodie fabric, you let the Shiba Inu lick the residential plants hiding from the residential air conditioning unit. You jogged the yellow-tiled steps in yellow-striped socks. You pushed aside the painful stage of growing out curls of gravity in a place that seemed to stretch sideways in all seasons. Of all the moonstruck moments, this is the one I'd most like to meet. So those are my poems from Godlight Shining, and I hope you don't mind, but I'd also like to read a couple from Untitled. So as mentioned, I've been working on a collection that charts my progress towards qualifying as a sign language interpreter, and that's a very long process, but it's super fascinating because there's so much language to explore. And when my sign language classes had to stop because of the pandemic for a while, I switched to Braille, and that was really interesting too. Again, it was kind of like learning to read again and how to interpret things that I take for granted in English. So I've been very preoccupied thinking about how we communicate in various different forms over the last year, and there's been a lot of source material to work with. And one of the kind of things I've really enjoyed doing is building like a language library. I love language textbooks. Whenever I go on holiday, I want to buy like a dictionary or a language textbook. And one of these kind of collections is a series of sign language texts that are a little bit out of date, but nearly almost everything is in sign language because of the whole number of regional variations and the constant fact it's changing. but this series is called Let's Sign. So it would be like Let's Sign Mathematics, Let's Sign for Scouts, and one of them is Let's Sign Science, and that's become one of my favorite textbooks that I use to write with as well, because the vocabulary is just incredible. So this poem is not about Harry Styles, but is about my other love, sign language, and it's called Let's Sign Science. For a visual poetry class, I am photocopying pages from Let's Sign Science, BSL vocabulary from an old series of print publications that also includes Let's Sign Feelings and Emotions. I would like to find Let's Sign Pop Culture or Let's Sign in the Museum, but they don't exist, and I can't afford a graphics tablet or a year of fine line art classes to learn to draw the graphics packages myself. I cut out cool collage combinations like untamed magnetic attraction or caterpillar camouflage. Something is missing, but these are all the words I have. I arrange the language and it falls flat on the page. So thank you for taking the time to listen tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'll just close with one final poem that is again along the lines of accessibility and thinking about how we interpret various things. And it's not sign language and it's not Braille, but this one is audio description, which I was looking at in the Ulster Museum and thinking about how we think of ekphrasis a lot in poetry and how we translate directly from the painting in front of us onto the page, but audio description is a slightly more formulaic version of that, and it's super interesting. And if you can write ekphrastic poems, I definitely recommend giving it a go, because you're already going to be like rich in the vocabulary and interpretation skills, and it's super fun. So my final poem tonight, and thank you so much for listening again and inviting me, is Writing Audio Description at the Ulster Museum. I want to talk you through the time and space of early California. The brushstrokes are confident in the white space of sea foam. The colours are cold and I am sure the seawall is seeping. I am happy in the landscapes I've never seen in person. It does not matter that this is a windowless room. Venice Beach is lit well and I wouldn't want to change my view. The pigment of the watercolour is easily saturated in the paper. I'm trying to list the most important blues when I'm distracted by something new, a close but different blue. Thank you, that's me.
Oh, beautiful. I enjoyed that so much. That was absolutely fascinating. I am so lucky to be asked for the MC tonight, literally. I have a personal interest in sign, which I have never lived out yet properly, as in I haven't started learning, but it inspired me to hear about it and hear about the languages between the languages, basically, even the image that you just described. Lovely. That was great. So will we just continue on to Tom immediately from here?
Yeah, sounds
Brilliant.
good. Yeah, you can hear me?
We can hear you and we will love you. Let's go.
Well, we'll see. So thanks, Bebe, that was great. Really enjoyed it. So I'm going to read exclusively from my pamphlet, which is, and I think Sarah, my editor, is watching on YouTube. So I'll just say hi to Sarah and hold up the pamphlet, which never seems to be in focus when I hold it up to a camera. But anyway, little bit shocked column that you actually don't have it already, that you're looking forward to getting it as a prize. So I'm going to read, I'll start in the middle, and I'll read a short poem called Fly. Dear insect, your ribs will go on, rising and falling like the stock market. You will go on living all afternoon to spite me. I pulled off your wings, stopping your fizz at the window. I called to your mother at her seasoning, her answer still coming. I stuck stained glass veins to your fingers with spit. You soared over the privet, fomenting against topiary. Approaching the sun, you grew stranger. You became a crop sprayer, ballasting the clouds with blood. And when I was in the editorial process with Sarah, one word got changed in that poem, which I think was quite important in retrospect. I'm not going to tell you which one it was. So the next poem on the next page is called Kingfisher. And this is dedicated to friends of mine in the UK, Walter and Yvonne Mills, who are up there in the wilds of Norwich. Walter is a scientist that I worked with in Cambridge many years ago, and I go to visit there pretty regularly. But I'm well acquainted with kingfishers, as I'm sure many of you are. Kingfisher. The kingfisher is not just a dash of local colour, not colour TV for sticklebacks and wrens. No, it is simply itself in the lost and found grotto of the British Natural History Museum, under the rapturous eyes of Darwin and Huxley. And it is a falsifiable tremor in the gene pool, which would have pleased Peter Medawar. In fact, it is more than it knows of itself, as its phenotype extends beyond the shitty nest hole and the bare branch posed by trapper or photographer. And please note that this bird invented the gun for exuberant Victorians, Kodachrome, and this poem. So those of you who read popular science will be familiar with Richard Dawkins. So Dawkins wrote a famous book called The Extended Phenotype. And so that poem sort of tries to encapsulate some of the ideas around that concept. The next one I'll read is on the facing page, The Fish Behind My Shoulder. And this is based on a dream, a sort of a half dream. I remember waking up and had this almost, real experience of a stream trickling behind my shoulder and a fish. And it relates to actually a sort of a shoulder or an arm ache that I had at the time. I think that was the origin of it. So the fish behind my shoulder. He's been there for weeks, the fish behind my shoulder. At first I thought it was muscle spasm. My upper arm ached at the time and was vulnerable to psychosomatosis or synesthesia. But that cleared up and still he's there like a persistent lesion. He's definitely not a cleaner fish attending to parasites and dead tissue, at least not that I've noticed. A freshwater species, I'm sure, because I've felt the gravel beds scoured by freshets and the runs made by baby eels. Of course, I've never seen him. He's brown though, with a pale lemon underside, like my forearm at the end of summer. His mouthwork is robotic, but he's not averse to a playful flick of his tail or a sudden rush and feint that starts and stops without seeming to. I have had to learn to take care of myself when starting, in case I shatter something I can't quite comprehend. I have begun to think of him as my twin. We might be joined at a fin. I face into things now. Watch my back. And I'll skip back to the first. I haven't read this. The first poem in the book is called The Astronaut, and this I've kind of mixed feelings about this poem, although it did deliver quite a nice prize many years ago. But I got a lot of grief from some members of my family about it because they're simple country folk. And they essentially think that if you write a poem in the first person, it's fully autobiographical, which isn't true. But nevertheless, it would be a fake poem if there wasn't some kind of core of emotional truth, I guess, in it. But as I said, the autobiographical aspect is an invention, or at least aspect of it. So The Astronaut. I turned the landing light on and put the twins to bed. It's not late, so I refill my glass and touch it to my forehead before knocking it back. The French windows are open and my old friend, the lame fox, is back, nosing down the cinder path to the barred gate. I'm fine on nights like this, in short sleeves in front of the TV. I ease into my pilot's seat and set the remote to stun. Often I'll sleep. After she had gone, we ate out all the time. Quarter pounders, kids' complete meals. Her mother was no help. I found a diary and a lock of hair, which I flushed. In the box bedroom, the portable TV on the floor was hot as a soldering iron, broadcasting static, the unending echo of the Big Bang, filling the house like a silent gas. When the house phone rang, I used to dash back in. The trellis cloaking the oil tank took me once on a comet ride into the garden wall. They found me, eyes wide shut like a resuscitation doll, the wooden lattice mapping the pressure nodes of my body. A sharp breeze cuts across my ribs. I step out onto the patio and tilt back on my heels, buffeted by 60 billion neutrinos per second per square centimeter of human tissue. Stars are being born in the arms of galaxies, and I have 2 lives in my hands. I scan the lights of the city. County Hall is a hive. Its windows ooze royal jelly. It was her call, "Honey, can you please shut the garage door while you're out there?" that set me rocking. The rotary clothesline, its canopy burnt off, has an astronaut buried beneath. I pull it from the ground, raise it above my head, and test my weight. So I'll continue. There are 2 more poems, sort of maybe a bit geographically or astronomically related to that. So the next one is called Meteorites, and this was published in Southward, again, maybe about 10 years ago. So Meteorites. The news reports have us out by the side of the house, craning our necks to the northeast, where Cassiopeia is slung between a telegraph pole and the chestnut tree. Behind us, the television is flickering through the curtains as we wait for the Perseids to show. We get plenty of time to debate that light beetling across the sky. Are satellites visible to the naked eye? And while we're here, perhaps, I should point out the broken chute where sparrows nest year in, year out, and the snails streaking across the wall, intent on their own galaxy. And the next one is called Canyon. So Matthew Sweeney very kindly published this in Southward. So Canyon. Don't talk about water, its 3-sided flare. Insinuate a gold leaf lizard, its footprint fugue, its iron sphere. Red-eyed Apache pocket mice are the sole Doppler signifiers of this jammed all-night expressway. A single buzzard wing swings on a flagpole like a half-hinged saloon car door. Schmeckpepper's only son has gone to Detroit to retrofit the velociraptor genome to the egg of a midwife toad. Something more zealous than squeezed light must have come through here. Something must have scooped out this terrain. Somewhere there's a mountain. So how am I doing on time, Paul? Should I maybe 1 or 2 more?
Oh yeah, you're very good for time, John.
Okay, yeah. Well, say I'll do 2 or 3 more, and just start banging the dustbin lids if you want me to stop. So I'll read a poem I like, actually, a kind of a slightly strange one, maybe. And if anybody can tell me what it's about, I'd be very grateful. So Vampire and Snowman. Inside my heart, many tiny hearts, each with a shopping trolley. I tap my chest, bats fly out. Hey, yo. My bones were near the surface of my body when I embraced Snowman. Nothing flowed, but the cold was like spice. Lungs unfurled to wings, anatomical ruins. Then the heart trilled in its cavity. So I will, I think I'll read as it's nearby. Carl Linnaeus's Herbarium Cabinet. So this is dedicated to Dean Brown, who, along with Sarah Byrne, gave me a push to follow on from a shorter Linnaeus poem. which I'd written. So this poem really wouldn't exist if Dean and Sarah hadn't given me a shove. So Carl Linnaeus's Herbarium Cabinet. His classification system was based on the sexual organs. He himself was the type specimen for Homo sapiens, there being no other example to hand with which he had sufficient intimacy. Sarah Lisa and the children numbered 8 in total. Johann died aged 3, Carl Jr. never married, ending the von Linné name. You will count 200 descendants through 2 daughters. Christopher Tarnstrom, his first apostle, was a youngish pastor. He boarded the East India Company ship Kalmar for China, but died en route in Vietnam. Tarnstrom's widow tarred Linnaeus with making her children fatherless. Thereafter, he preferred to send out younger unmarried students, 6 of whom died on their expeditions. He himself never again left Sweden. Linnaeus sectioned his herbarium cabinet after the number of stamens of plants he himself had pressed onto loose sheets. After his death, his collection sold to Sir James Edward Smith, who founded the Linnaean Society of London 5 years later. Gronovius named Linnaeus's favorite flower, Linnea borealis, little twin flower, edelweiss of pine heaths and old Finnish forests. Following in Linnaeus's footprints in Swedish Lapland in 2017, James Prozek wrote in the New York Times, "On a walk along the Lule River where it met the bay, we found a species of willow, Salix pentandra, a leaf of which Linnaeus drew near this spot. Staffan plucked the leaf from the tree and laid it on the facsimile of the journal. It matched perfectly, as if Linnaeus himself had traced that very leaf." So maybe one more, Paul. So just maybe I'll read Brother Adam, which is the title poem, I guess I should. So I'll finish up with this one. And this is dedicated to Mick and Kathleen Wolfe, who are, I was at school with their son, Eamon, for many years. And Mick was the, I think, the president of the Irish Beekeepers Association for many years. And he actually met Brother Adam once upon a time. So, Brother Adam, the past is a foreign country. So is its synonym, Germany. His mother posts the 12-year-old Carl Curley to the novitiate of the Benedictines of St. Mary's Abbey. In Germany, it will always be 1910. Unhappy novice, a mason's lot is not in your hod. Come down and help Brother Columban with the bees. Carl, it is 1916 and all the bees are dying. Carl, how fare your countrymen at Ypres? The weather is unpredictable here, but Dartmoor offers the prospect of a second honey flow in August. Then the nectar is from heather, hawthorn, sycamore. All of this has happened here before. He is unmatched as a breeder of bees. He talks to them, strokes them. He brings a calmness that, according to those who see him work, the bees respond to. He does so while being carried backwards up Kilimanjaro. But let the bees tell you, haunting his own motto, he becomes one of nature's silent workers. The bees keep leading him to yarrow, self-heal, poppy. This is how he escapes the 20th century. French scientists in the 30s proved that bees can't fly, but he is down in the spinney retrieving a swarm. A bee's wings beat more than 200 times a second. He has fallen asleep over Professor Armbruster's laws. 2 prized queens are stolen from the Buckfast apiaries. Police issued the following description: 3/4 of an inch in length with dark brown and dark grey stripes. Cal Curly, wake up, wake up. A worker has space, but no time, no time, no time. A worker is her own landing craft and centripetal spoke, homing her cargo to the vortex of the hive. How to woo a honeybee with veils and gloves and smoke. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. Oh, wow. the world of the bees and the world of science and poetry so nicely intertwined. Big boulabas. Literally, I love that a lot. Fantastic. What a pleasure hearing that. Thank you. Okay. I feel like we should all like break into a break now of chatter and chit chat before we actually go into the open mic. In the normal Ovale, that's exactly what happens. We go outside for a little breather, we shake out our legs and stretch them a bit, and some of us have a breath of fresh air, whatever that might be. We get our new drinks and so on and so on. So in this case, my blah is providing that little break. And I will move on from that blah to introduce the third part of the evening, which is the open mic. So how we do that is if you want to read at the open mic, you can type your name together with the tag open mic. And I will call down the list from all the people that sign up. There's a 3 minutes kind of limit per reader, so that we all have space, and we hope we get through everybody who's here tonight, and I think there won't be any problem at all. And after that, we can all hang in for a virtual mains, that is the pub we normally go to, and we can just break into a chat in the pub basically at the end of the open mic. So yes, go right ahead, whoever wants to actually put your name in there together with the tag open mic, and then we'll call down the list. So God, it's right, so we have number one already. Okay, yes, Mary O'Connell is first, exactly. So what we'll do is we'll kick off with Mary O'Connell on the open mic first, and then we'll continue on with the names that you write into the chat.
Okay.
Mary, go ahead.
Thanks, Sue. Just two little items. One, because of the day that's in it, the 12th, and the other, a rather sad little piece. Two unionists took separate routes since one got too big for his boots. Then when Ulster said no, he had nowhere to go, and the name of the loser was Poots. And the second one is called Endless Trek. Another day of dust, sky a yellow blur, cordite in your nostrils, wind whips your hijab. Jonas pushes westward, Habtob at his heels. You hold baby Nisrin, praying she won't cry. Your friends as dazed as you, the coast still far away, water a wavering pathway to reach a place of rest. If flimsy rubber boats capsize before they land, the waves that you rely on may swallow you to doom. The child stirs in your arms. For her sake, you trek on. She's all that you have left, a pilot light of hope.
Thank you so much, Mary. That was very moving, like an Oriental Earl King almost. The the German poem. Okay, we continue on with Matt Mooney on the open mic, please. You need to unmute yourself.
Did you call me Rosalie?
Yes, I did. I did call
you. Oh, I didn't quite get you. Sorry about that. Now, I will read Harbour Lights from my new book. A special Sunday afternoon has gone, and now we sit outside the tables, supping tea and drinks together among family and friends, flanked by comfy cottage facing Port MacSherry Harbour. Day and night, tide in, tide out. Kinsale Bay beyond Wood Point, and in between a long sandbar raised from and flow where two silhouettes stroll. The keen of a curlew, echoes of distant callow sounds embedded in my head many global spans ago, of seas and shallows, hills and hollows, turning on its axis, following the future, turning its back on all that was for the sake of future generations. Today, the christening and the barbecue mark the new beginning, the advent of another heir to the earth. Now, the eyelids of the night drop slowly, while stars still shy appear from high above over the harbour lights.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was wonderful. I kind of get lost in the listening almost and forget that I have to MC. So if I caught the list fast enough, next on my list here would be Jeff.
Okay, so here's a poem that was recently published in a recent issue of The Dreaming Machine. It's called If It Happened Now. And if the Salem witch trials happened now, we'd hang Rebecca Nurse for her witch privilege, and all Giles Corey's pleas for mercy would be met with mocking taunts of, "Okay, boomer." Susanna Martin and John Proctor would decry the lack of innocence presumed and say due process had been undermined. But every judge would shout all protests down with consequence and accountability. And Abigail Williams would tell her story in an HBO documentary. And if the reign of terror happened now, we'd leave it to the internet to judge the fates of nobles and their families. Marie Antoinette would never get a trial. The Twitter sound and fury would be more than enough to rush her to the scaffold steps. Her live-streamed execution would break YouTube. Her head would sit atop the Eiffel Tower and pose in selfies with millennial tourists. And Robespierre would win the Pulitzer Prize for his tell-all, Catch and Kill. And if McCarthyism happened now, we'd name and shame our socialist ex-partners and friends in epic social media rants, accompanied by the hashtag #Commie2. Blacklisted screenwriters and actors all would cry and moan into an empty void, only to hear, "This isn't cancellation, you're only being criticized, shut up," while they collected unemployment peanuts. And Elia Kazan would grace the covers of Time and Vanity Fair for his courage. And if the satanic panic happened now, we'd scream, "Believe the children," twice as loud. And anyone demanding evidence in the McMartin and Little Rascals trials would be on the wrong side of history. 100 famous goth and metal bands would sign an open letter in Rolling Stone, begging for freedom of speech and free expression. But everyone would scoff and call them whiners. And Tipper Gore would be immortalized in a Netflix hagiography. Good thing humanity has reached its apex, and these events could never happen now. Again, that was called If It Happened Now.
Wow, that was fantastic. That would have been a roaring applause there in the live Ovale coming to you. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jeff. Okay. Next on the list, we have Colm Scully, please.
Thanks, Sue. This is a poem I wrote today, so that's probably always a bad idea, reading a poem you just wrote. But I'll read it anyhow, and it's kind of it's following on from Tom's, and it's kind of science themed as well. So it's called Unwinding. The sun doesn't care, the moon doesn't mind. At an unattached distance, they slowly unwind. The stars don't hide heaven; they are disparate sparks, thrown out from the furnace that preceded the dark. They too are unwinding to a place of unchange, where everything's cold but precisely arranged, like a clock that has stopped. After working for years, no, the moon never cried and the sun never cared. We too are unchanging, if you see us as one, an untethered mass, a replenishing swarm. Life will unwind on a different path than the sun or the moon as they slowly grow quiet. It may outlive the stars in a place outside time, like a ghost in the clock where it sparks a rewind. Thanks.
My God, Colm, that was a true poetry flash that you got today. Perfect piece. Perfect. Brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Fantastic. Okay, so next up on the open mic, we have Massimo. And let me connect that actually with a piece of information here for the moment. Next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at the Barras, Massimo will be the guest poet. So it's absolutely vital that anyone who likes Massimo's poetry joins that Zoom session of the Barras. I'm going to have to search the information and punch in a link, or maybe Paul, you can do that for me. So Massimo, take it away. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. That was really kind of you to share that. I really appreciate that. And another bit of news. My mom knows that I've been doing these Irish open mics, so she wants to take a trip with me to Ireland. So if anybody has like any guiding things or ideas or whatever, I'd love to come, and of course to come to Ovale. So anyway, this piece is I usually have things memorized, but I can't remember this one. It's so cold, so I'm gonna read it off the screen. It goes, how can I just be relaxed and aware? I can no more master my thoughts than I can master the air. Master the globe? No, master my square, as the one atmos impacts the whole sphere. Waiting till I'm perfect before all can align. But who says flaws are a flaw in the design? I feel the architecture in the arch of my spine. To see life is much more like an arc than a line. A part of me knows that the whole is a part of me. I believe this heartfeltly, but feel it only partly. I'd love to believe in a world designed with harmony, where no atom is scattered without being patterned artfully. But when life becomes hard, its artistry is hard to see. In a world I've been hurt by, that's also been harmed by me. I cannot move mountains, and the seas won't part from me. It's like the unknown is guarding me from wandering too far from me. How to solve a puzzle as a piece in the shuffle. No box with an image on the cover. Only what we live and discover. Hopefully our holes are made to fit one another. But I am not a problem solver. I'm more like a solvent in a solution. Without my involvement or improving, all is resolved beyond any cause or resolution. I hope I am absolved for any wrong in my doing, any harm in my movements brought on by delusion. In any apology, honesty can be illuminating, but acknowledging is not excusing. If what I seek to be excused from, I find my excuse in. Escaping from the world is just my face that I'm eluding. Afraid plain truth is too painful for the viewing. I would rather have resolve to follow love through dissolution than have my love diluted, resolute in disillusion. Lest my is hard as the body it's construed in, a living garden grown into this garment I am moved in. But who is the mover and for whom is it moving? No one can tell you, but all clue you in. But my cluelessness is proof of grace. And that is both my clue and my cue to begin. So thank y'all so much.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Beautiful. I so look forward to your event. It must be like, yeah, I want to meet you and talk to you. Every one of your thoughts is so interesting. Okay, we'll move on to
Not true.
well, that's how it comes across. It's lovely having you. Ada is next. Ada Miles.
Yeah, thanks. Great news about Wednesday. I'm looking forward to now. And I love the spiritual meditative piece. And mine is also spiritual meditative, but a bit dark, but a bit humorous. I hope you like it. It's called My Blessings. I'm tired of blessings in disguise. I'd far prefer them otherwise. How jolly and neat they prance, as freed of all their garb at once. The downsides and upsides are, in your imagination, far from actually being that way, Jude. How I'd love my blessings nude. The grapes are green, the grass is sick. You are but clutching at the stick that bit you, bugger. Don't you know? Good blessings give a streeping show. So instead of praising Lordy God for feasting on your steaming blood, for sacred happiness, believe in pain. It's all that we receive. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, impressive. Bring that to the Blue Mondays and we'll talk about it more. I want to hear it again. Nice one. Ada Miles, and now we have Catherine in the list next. Catherine Ronan, please.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks, everyone. Definitely bring that, Ada, the next day. We're going to have fun with that poem. I'm going to follow it with the poem that I wrote, and it's dedicated to Father George O'Mahony, R.I.P. Underground. Today you are growing underground, away from our earthly touch, back to nature's blanket, black hair still. You could have been Viking, shovel hands on altar display. Instead, weather-vaned fingers played host. We stand as your body lies, wrapped in perfumed robes. Incense sweet, we wipe our eyes, throw thoughts at you. They land with the sound of rain, roses kissing wood. Stones rattle on your breastplate. You are not dead.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That was a thoughtful. You know, like you know how when we sit together in a room and we can all hear each other's reactions, it's so different on Zoom, and sometimes it's just that thoughtful echo of a or something like that. Anyway, next up we have Niamh Dillon.
Hello. Okay, this is kind of in keeping with Tom's poetry. So I took part in a course and we had a science prompt. So the title of this is, I hope I pronounced it right, Hepialus cumuli, which is the Latin term for the ghost moth. And this is in memory of the naturalist Mary Ward. As dusk approaches and the sun starts to wane, I set the light box in the darkening room. Then, striking a match to entice by flame, wait for the beat of wings to meet its doom. I have slides of ivory to prepare, a slab for each piece of ghost moth to lay, so gentle its wings and prone to tear, fine-tuning adjustments that may take all day. A trip to Burr with my journals in tow, where cousin and I will try to contend. Vastness above or minutiae below, what we find more impressive through the lens. Who holds greater mystery, night sky above, or cream-coloured ghost moth and humble foxglove?
Sweet. Sweet. Thank you so much, Niamh. Right. Now, we have, on my list here, I have Cedric next. And then, is that already the end of the list? Okay, cool. That's grand. Okay, Cedric, take it away.
That was fast, a lot faster than expected. Wolves. There are two wolves within you. The one who wins is the one you feed. Grows stronger and eventually breeds. Multiply, conquer, expands its territory. All the cubs would roam, learning from the pack, the emotions, sentiments. A wealth in the woods of thoughts for food. Grow, play, hunt, howl without worry. Mature into the group of others, wolves, dominant or vanguard, maybe. There are more than two wolves, regardless which one wins. What you feed it is you.
Wow, yeah. What an analogy. Lovely. Those wolves inside us. Right. Thanks everyone. Now before I round out the night, I would like to hear, is there anyone else left who would like to read on the open mic that hasn't put up their name earlier? So I see the name Mags. I wonder, Augustina, are you in for reading as well? Adiola, would you like to?
Are they finished there? Because I had to get something there during the readings. And are you finished already, Sue?
Well, it's kind of where I'm asking the last people, so I'm just wondering,
Okay.
is there
Did anybody else?
did you want to go last, Mags? Is
Oh
it?
no, I don't mind when I go.
Okay, then just go ahead.
Is there anybody else now?
No, I don't have anyone else on the list here, so it's fantastic if you go ahead.
Let's see. I was trying to tune it. All right. I was just looking at the two extremes, it's whatever comes up on the day. And vaccination is such a cliche. But when you get the second one, you just feel fantastic. And I just thought there was two sides to the coin. And you can't control what you write in the car in your head coming home. But I also thought of the other aspect of those who just didn't manage to get their shots, and the amount of people that were lost. So I was hoping to get my guitar in tune, but sure, I don't know if I'll be able to. I'll crack away anyway. Shake and vax. I had just hoovered and had vaccinated, so I said, I just used shake and vax to hoover the floor, and I also feel like shaking my tail feather because I was vaxxed. So shake and vax like a good nilfisk, hoover up all the unhealthy risks. Wish they'd suck up all the freaks and weirdos who toy with little lives. Shake and vax make hooligans relax. When man boys are petulant, let them know what medals mean to them. You're the winner of second place. Shake and vax. Pull the planet back, hoover up the oceans, but be careful not to frack. And leave the minerals where they belong. Contain the stores of plutonium. Suck up all the megalomaniacs. Shake up all the 1% oligarchs. Redistribute riches and share the cash. Do your own bloody hoovering and shake and vac. Replenish every single fragrant meadow. But there's always going to be the ghettos. But I've been shaken up and vaxxed for tonight. I'm just going to relax. So this is now the other side of the coin. If my guitar is in tune. That's why I was trying to be organized. Oh, sugar. Okay. It's called a capo. I'll try it in a little bit too low. This is for the ones who didn't get the vaccinations, all for the sake of an injection. An empty chair, an empty room, a vacant chair. Loneliness has crept inside of here. Phantom pain of you're not there. The welcome voice I used to hear. You're welcome now to all these tears. Phantom pain of you're not there. It is complete. You've had your time. Never get over it, just get used to it with time. Phantom pain, remote seems near. I see your face at random times. How can I sever these love lifelines? Phantom pain, you tingle here. The heart felt pull for every day. In your life you made each day. Phantom pain, remote seems near. It is complete, you've had your time. Never get over it, just get used to it with time. Phantom pain, you'll tingle here. Phantom pain, our branches cheered. You linger here. You linger here. Sorry. I wish it were time to get the capo. Thank you.
Beautiful, Mags, beautiful,
Sorry.
and your voice and everything.
I was looking for a capo, and you know, it would have made a difference.
And you know what, that mattered not at all, because your voice did it all, and it's a beautiful piece, an absolute gorgeous piece.
Thank you.
Right, so if there's no one else on the list, I'm going to put myself on the list last. Because when I was introducing Tom there, and because Tom is still here, thanks very much. There was a bit in the biography that woke my interest, which was about your interest in the biology of maternal fetal interactions. So here is one for you, completely on that métier. Now it's a bit of, it's probably still a bit of rough around the edges. I haven't really finished working on it, but yeah. So this is, it's written for my daughter Kaya. The Big Kick. Resting on my big barrel of a belly, you inside me squeezed, sitting at my desk over coffee after coffee, studying, reading, working on my thesis, tirelessly ceaseless. Thirst is rising under my tongue. I do not listen. Thirst is parching my throat. I do not hear. Thirst is burning in my stomach. I do not feel it. Thirst is drying out my skin, and still I don't get up to drink. I'm sunken in over my books, with my head in ivory clouds, when suddenly I'm feeling that gentle twitch inside me, that warning sign of a hiccup, your body calling for water, and still I don't get up. Been sitting here like this for plenty of hours now, and my head is getting slower, back hunched, shoulders slumped, my neck from reading stiff. When, out of the blue, with a mighty blow, you kick me as hard as you can, both feet into my liver. Ouch! Up I jump from the slump, straighten out my back and say, okay, okay, grasping for my pint of water, gulping eagerly while stretching big and wide to release the squeeze on my belly on you. And when the shock has passed and the pain dissipates of this mightiest of blows by your two tiny feet, I am thinking to myself, that felt so deliberate. So years later, you can already talk, grown up to my shoulder, bright and tall. You tell me of a memory that you have kept from the time inside my belly. You tell me how you felt so squeezed and tight and decided to take action to release that squeeze. And so you kicked me as hard as you could into my liver, both feet. My mother heart swells, gives me goosebumps. This memory we share, you from inside, me from outside. And I'm blown away by your mighty blow of communication with me, so small, so young, so tiny. So thanks very much. That was The Big Kick. Absolute communication between the fetus and the mother because of lack of water. So hydration is important. Keep hydrated, fellas, and women, and wherever we are, what stages, it keeps us young and fresh. That's the message of that one anyway. Okay, so we are coming to the end of a beautiful session of poetry. I want to thank our two guest poets again. That's Tom Moore and the Bebe. Did Bebe already go? I can't see her right now. No, there you are. Sorry, it's just me being blind. Bebe Ashley. I was looking for your last name to have you proper. Bebe Ashley. Thanks very much. Tom Moore. Thanks. Absolutely beautiful poetry we had, and thanks everyone else on the open mic and on the 5-word challenge. Thank you, Paul, for hosting, and it's been a wonderful session. We can now open up into virtual mains and hang out for a pint after the after the poetry, as we do. So Paul is going to stop the